Once upon a time, there was a young girl who lived with her parents in a cottage near the woods. The little girl was energetic and loved to play during the day. And when the nighttime came, sometimes she felt she had too much energy to sleep. One night was such a night. She had played with all her toys. She had run around outside under the sun. Now it was long past her bedtime, but she still wanted to play. Her parents had long since gone to sleep. They would scold her if she woke them. She looked around her room and wondered what she could possibly do. She glanced over towards her window and saw some tiny glowing spots right outside. It was a small swarm of fireflies. She opened the window to get a closer look, and when she did, she could hear the soft creaks of the frogs. Eventually, the little girl decided that she wanted to be outside with them. Carefully, she climbed out the window and let herself down onto the cool grass. Wearing only her nightgown, the grass felt comforting and soft against her bare feet. She ran out into the field and giggled as the fireflies flew around her, as if beckoning her to play. She followed them past the creek that ran through the field near her home, which whispered soothingly at this late hour. The frogs and the crickets continued their nightly song. As the girl approached the stream, she saw one large frog sitting on a slippery rock. She crept towards it and reached out to pat it on its head. But before she could touch it, it hopped away and plopped into the water, splashing her lightly with the cool liquid. She giggled again. She found the spot to where the frog had hopped and began playing a game of tag. She was never able to catch the frog, but it was the game that she enjoyed. After playing tag with the frogs, she decided to play hide and seek with the fireflies. She carefully followed where they were flying. Every time they lit up, she would race towards them. But then they would turn out the light and disappear from view. And she would have to watch carefully for when they lit back up once again. After some time of playing with the frogs and the fireflies, the little girl found herself at the edge of the field upon which her home rested. She was close to the woods. The fireflies beckoned her onward, and she could hear other forest creatures singing their soft night songs. As she explored the woods, she eventually found the side of a hill. along its rocky surface, there was a large crack opening into a cave. Curious, she realized she'd never seen this before. She had never known it was here. Carefully, she wandered inside. It was dim, but comfortingly warm, like a hearth at midnight. She thought she could smell wood smoke mingled with the scent of leather. As she walked deeper in, she heard a deep rumbling, accompanied by a breeze that gently blew in and out, in and out, slowly, as if the cave itself were breathing. Further in still, the cave eventually opened into a large room, and there in the middle was a glittering red mound. The mound was rising and falling to the same rhythm that the cave entrance had seemed to be breathing. The little girl realized it was the mound that was breathing. Still curious, she stepped closer, and with a soft gasp of wonder, she realized that the red mound was a red-scaled dragon curled up on the cave floor. Entranced, she tiptoed up to it. She found its face, with eyes closed and nostrils flaring as it breathed in and out, in and out. Occasionally, a small puff of smoke would escape the dragon's nostrils. At one point, she thought she saw the dragon's eye flicker open, but when she turned to look, it quickly shut tight again. She walked around to the other side of the dragon's head. She stared carefully at the sleeping face of the dragon. Then she followed along its neck, towards the shoulders and the wings that were tucked tightly against its body. Feeling as if something was watching her, she turned around and again could have sworn that she had seen the dragon looking at her. But again, it quickly shut its eyes. And for a moment, she also thought that she saw a half smile on the dragon's face. She ran back up to the dragon and made faces at it, trying to make it laugh or smile once again. But the dragon didn't move. So, she decided to climb up onto its neck. Once on top, she ran up the neck onto the dragon's back. From up here, the wings tucked against its body looked like a slick surface that she could slide down, and she couldn't resist. She slid back to the cave floor, and the dragon's wing obligingly tilted in such a way that she landed gently. She ran back to the dragon's neck, climbed eagerly on once again, and spent the next several minutes sliding and laughing, climbing and jumping. Occasionally, the dragon would shift, lift its tail, or bend a leg, in order to allow her to climb up or slide down more easily. Eventually, the little girl began to slow. She began to yawn. At last, she grew tired. After sliding down the dragon's wing one final time, she crawled her way back towards the dragon's neck, and this time nestled herself underneath its wing, next to its shoulder. Before she closed her eyes and drifted off, she thought she could feel its wing curling comfortingly around her. The next morning, the little girl awoke. The sun was beginning to rise. The birds were beginning to sing. She found herself wondering whether she had dreamed everything the night before, as she had awoken back in her room, back in her bed, back at home. As she went to the window to watch the sunrise, she thought she smelled wood smoke and leather. It was probably just her father working at the forge. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she thought she spotted a large shadow moving across the sky. When she turned to look, it had already gone. Perhaps it really was her friend the dragon that she had met last night. The girl decided that one day she would try to find it again for another night of play. The end.